Welcome to Civil Services Achievers Point. We are discussing today the Assam Tribune of 2nd September 2020. At Civil Services Achievers Point, we have various courses. You can call at the number given below to avail the courses. Also, we are coming up very soon with CSAP classes, optional classes and ethics classes. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Telegram channel. This Assam Tribune analysis is based on the new pattern of APSC. However, this is also useful for UPSC and other state level government examinations. These are the important newspaper articles of today's newspaper and the important editorials we will discuss. So students, let us begin. The first topic we are discussing today is that government is planning an overhaul of education sector. So this topic we are studying under General Studies on Assam paper, that is GS5, topic governance. The state government is planning an overhaul of the education sector with 15 new government colleges including 9 girls colleges coming up in Assam. Education Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma informed the assembly. The minister also stated that 150 new high schools will be built in the tea garden areas of Assam and classes in these schools would start from the next academic session. So in his reply to a cut motion over supplementary demand on education, the minister said that with the new education policy, that is the NEP in place, the entire education system would undergo a sea change where the difference between the English medium and the vernacular mediums would vanish and people's faith in the government education sector would be restored. Now, responding to the debate, further the minister said that the state was witnessing fast-paced expansion in the government education sector with more than 40 lakh students enrolled in government academic institutions and more than 1.5 lakh appointments in the sector in the past 8 years. So this is a rough estimate of the last 8 years. He further said that the government was ready to do some modification in the provincialization rules to regularize the deserving venture institutions of the state through a need-based approach. So there are, we know, many venture schools. So these venture schools will be regularized or provincialized throughout the state with a need-based approach. So discussing the next topic, Center and RBI has said to the Supreme Court that moratorium period on loan repayment is extendable by 2 years. So we know during this COVID-19 pandemic, the RBI had announced the moratorium on loans. So now it has said that this moratorium is extendable by 2 years. The moratorium period on repayment of loans during the COVID-19 pandemic is extendable by 2 years and several steps have been taken to help the stressed sectors. A bench headed by Justice Ashok Bhushan was informed by the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta. Further, Solicitor General informed that the economy contracted, as we have already covered in our last current affairs class, that the economy has contracted nearly 24% in the April-June quarter due to the coronavirus related lockdown and restrictions. Further, the bench said it would hear on Wednesday the pleas which have raised the issue of interest being charged on installments which have been deferred under the central bank scheme during the moratorium period. So this is an issue which is subsidized in Supreme Court, that yes, the moratorium period is granted. That is, if any person wishes not to pay the installment, then he may not pay during those 3 months of moratorium and he has to pay after that 3 months. However, the banks are saying that the interest rate for those 3 months have to be paid. However, the Supreme Court is saying that if moratorium is provided, then the installment and the interest both will be deferred for the moratorium period. So this is in discussion, and further the Supreme Court will hear the plea in coming days. Now coming to our next important topic, Rajiv Kumar takes over as election commissioner. Now this topic is relevant from General Studies 2 paper polity topic. So former IS officer Rajiv Kumar assumed charge as the new election commissioner. He takes the place vacated by Ashok Lavasa, who joins the Asian Development Bank as vice president. Now Kumar is a retired 1984 batch IS officer of the Jharkhand cadre, will have a 5-year tenure and retire in 2025. He will preside over the next Lok Sabha elections in 2024. So according to rules, an election commissioner has 6 periods on the post or till he turns 65, whichever is earlier. Kumar was born in February 1960. Now, during the span of more than 36 years of service, Kumar has worked in various ministries at the center and his state cadre of earlier Bihar and then Jharkhand. Now, coming to the next topic, the Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute installs largest solar tree. Now, this is studied under the General Studies 3 paper topic economic development. The Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute, Durgapur, has installed a huge solar tree at its residential colony, which it claims is the world's largest solar tree. So this is important. The solar tree has been designed in a manner to examine exposure of each solar photovoltaic, that is PV panel, to sunlight, and also creation of the least amount of shadow area beneath. The installed capacity of the solar tree is above 11.5 kilowatt peaks on a daily basis. So it has the annual capacity to generate 12,000 to 14,000 units of clean and green power. So according to information available, world's largest solar tree was till now in Europe, which is producing 8.6 kilowatt peak of energy daily, below the power generation capacity of our solar tree. So it is mentioned that the existing, in comparison to the existing solar tree, this is the largest one. Now, this is an important topic which is recurring now because of the COVID-19 lockdown. GST mop-up drops 12% up to rupees 86,449 crore in August. So this topic will study under General Studies 3 paper economic development topic. The COVID-19 induced shrinking of economic activity for the past few months has continued to have an impact on government's tax collections, with revenue under the goods and service tax, that is GST, falling far below the psychological level of 1 lakh crore to 86,449 crore in August. This is second consecutive month of a fall in GST collections after the number crossed over 90,000 crore in June. The GST collection for the month of April was 32,294 crore, which was a mere 28% of the revenue collected during the same month last year. So such was the difference. And for May, it was rupees 62,000, approximately 6,000 crore, which was 62% of the revenue collected during the same month last year. And in June, GST collections recovered to touch 90,917 crore. However, they again fell to rupees 87,422 crore in July before falling further in August. So there has been a gradual decline in the revenue collection. Of the total GST collection of 86,449 crore for August, the central GST was rupees 15,906 crore and the state GST was rupees 21,064 crore. The integrated GST collection stood at rupees 40,264 crore. So such was the difference among the GST collection from last year and this year. Also during August, the revenues from import of goods were 77% and the revenues from domestic transaction was 92% of the revenues from these sources during the last months. Means if last year during this month 100 rupees was collected, now it is collecting only 77 rupees, like that. Now another major development here with respect to our economic syllabus, government eliminates cooking gas subsidy. Now this topic we are studying under the General Studies 3 paper, economic development. The government has completely eliminated the need to provide subsidy on domestic cooking gas as the global fall in oil prices and frequent rise in LPG gas cylinder price has brought the price of the common man's fuel closer to market rates. So as the price of the LPG has come to the closer to the market rates, government has decided to eliminate the cooking gas subsidy. So as of 1st September, the price of non-subsidized and subsidized 14.2 kg cooking gas is identical at rupees 594 a cylinder. What this means is that government would no longer need to pay subsidy under the direct benefit transfer scheme DBT into the account of beneficiaries. In fact, with the price gap between the subsidized and non-subsidized cooking gas narrowing, the government has not made any cash transfers into the accounts of beneficiaries for the last 4 months. The government could easily make a saving of over rupees 20,000 crore in fiscal year 21 towards the LPG subsidy. This would be huge given the pressure on the government to step up expenditure for COVID-19 relief schemes. While global oil markets are largely responsible for the fall in the prices of all petroleum products, but oil companies also raise the price of subsidized cooking gas consistently from a level of rupees 494.35 rupees a cylinder in July last year to 594 now. Also, had this increase not then taken place, the 14.2 standard kg domestic LPG which we use at home, cylinder price would have been more than 100 rupees cheaper. So it would have been 100 rupees cheaper. Now coming to the important editorials. The first editorial is regarding the demise of former President Pranab Mukherjee. A doyen departs. So this topic is important from our post-independence India GS1 syllabus. Also for GS2 polity. So Pranab Mukherjee, an elder statesman of Indian politics, who had during the 70s and 80s been such an inextricable and indispensable figure in the Indian political scenario, died at the age of 84. So he was an indispensable figure in the Indian political scenario since the 1970s and the 1980s. He was in active politics as acknowledged by the award of India's highest civilian honor, the Bharat Ratna, to him in 2009. Among the last of the Congress leaders to have worked closely with Indira Gandhi, his death indeed marks the end of an era. So the Mukherjee was brought from Bengal to Delhi, and he received his first ministerial assignment in 1973 as Junior Minister of Industrial Development and was later elevated to a Deputy Minister. To his credit, he remained loyal to Indira Gandhi even during the emergency days, and when in 1982 she returned to power, so Pranab Mukherjee was rewarded with the Finance Minister portfolio. And since then, Pranab Mukherjee has held India's Foreign, Defense and Commerce Minister. So these are all very important ministries like the Finance Ministry, the Foreign Ministry, the Defense Ministry and the Commerce Ministry. Among other aspects, he initiated critical decisions on a range of issues like administrative reforms, right to information, right to employment, food security, energy security, information technology, and telecommunication. He was also instrumental in setting up financial institutions such as the regional rural banks, RRBs, the Exim Bank of India, as well as the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD. And he was also a deputy chairman of the Planning Commission, charting out India's developmental goals. So he served the Rajya Sabha 5 times and Lok Sabha 2 times. So such a duration of parliamentarship is rare in Indian politics. Mukherjee also served as 23 years of member of the Congress Working Committee. The only missing position was the Prime Ministership of the nation. So it was compensated when he was made the President of India from 2012 to 2017. So next important editorial of today's newspaper is the Homeless Migrants Facing a Bleak Future. General Studies 3, this topic we will study under the General Studies 3 paper, Economic Development topic. The lockdown has become a worldwide trend due to the spike in the COVID-19 pandemic across the world. In India, there has been the imposition of 4 phases of COVID-19 induced nationwide lockdowns from March 25 to June 30. Businesses, agricultural works, constructions, educational institutions, worship places, and other public or private offices or transports were closed except pharmacies, hospitals, banks, grocery shops, and other essential services. So, such was the impact of the lockdown among the masses. So the decision of sudden lockdown unleashed chaos that India is still struggling to deal with. As a result, India's COVID-19 induced lockdown had created a sharp rise in unemployment, starvation, and left an enormous migrant population stranded and hungry in big cities. With the factories and workplaces shut, millions of migrant workers in India had become homeless with no income, food shortages, and uncertainty about their life and future. Lakhs of migrant workers were rendered jobless and foodless as urban areas were shut down. With no work and no money, lockdown restrictions on public transport, utter desperation forced lakhs of migrant workers across various regions of India to begin their onerous journey on foot to return to their native villages or hometowns. In India, India already had one of the world's largest homeless populations, and the lockdown has escalated the number exponentially. Lakhs of migrant laborers were left with no means to support themselves. They had received no financial help from the government, nor had they been sent back to their respective native hometowns or villages during the initial days of the lockdown. So, also the police, it was reported that police resorted to high-handedness for any violation of the central government orders, because there are certain facts which we always should remember. As per the 2011 census, 45.36 crore Indians are migrants spreading across the country. So such a large number are migrants. The common reasons for migration by poor laborers are from their native places are employment opportunities and marriage. While most men migrate for work opportunities, women migrate due to marriage. As per the economic survey of 2016-17, internal migrants make up 20% of the country's workforce. So this is important facts from the economic survey. Students, please, you may quote them in the examination. The migrant workers majorly comprise daily wage laborers working in the manufacturing and construction industries. A survey of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO shows that the migrant workers constitute an estimated 10% of India's economic output. So migrant workers contribute an estimate 10% of the India's economic output. So these are important facts. Students, please make a note of it. The International Labor Organization (ILO) predicted that due to the pandemic and the lockdown, about 400 million workers would be poverty-stricken, and most of the migrant workers did not have any savings in their bank accounts. With their livelihood grinding and savings running out fast, they decided to return to their respective native villages on their own. However, on March 27 last, the Home Ministry ordered the states to ensure that migrants would not move during their lockdown, permitting the states to use the National Disaster Response Fund for providing food and shelter to the migrants. However, on March 29, the government issued sweeping orders directing that the landlords should not even demand rent during the period of lockdown and that the employer should pay wages without deduction. So the government announced the National Migrant Information System, that is the NMIS, an online database created by the National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA), meant to help streamline the movement of the migrant workers. It has aimed to help states to find the stranded migrant workers and children. So the COVID-19 pandemic has precipitated a new crisis in India, in which we can see a mass exodus of migrant workers inundating various parts of the country. The government has, however, announced a rupees 1.7 lakh crore package for the poor. So this is the condition faced by the migrants due to the lockdown imposed due to COVID-19. With this, we end today's current affairs class. I hope this class was very helpful. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you.